Howdy! In this lesson, we are going to add a data manager to our game. This will help us store some data, like the coin amount or the score and best score the player has. Okay, cool. Let's jump right into it again. So, under the manager's game object, we are going to create a new game object and call it data manager. All right, perfect. Let's create a new script that we will attach to this game object. So let's create a new script in the project window, like so, and call it data manager. Cool. Now let's drag it and drop it onto the data manager game object. Let's open it. Okay, awesome. Now you know it. We will have a unique data manager in our game. So let's make it a 2 seconds for you to think about it. Singleton. Exactly. Okay, let's go. So public static data manager instance. Awesome. Let's create the awake method again. So if the instance equals null, then the instance equals this. Otherwise, destroy this game object. Perfect. We now have an instance. We now have a singleton of our game manager. Then you want to create 3 variables. One for the coins, one for the score, and one for the best scorer. So let's do that. We are going to create a header and name it elements as usual, or maybe data. Yeah, let's change a bit. So data. Okay, perfect. So the first variable will be an integer and it will hold the coins amount. Okay. For the second one, it's going to be the score, and the third one will be the best score. Awesome. In the awake method, so the first method that is called before the start method, when the game is launched, we want to load the data the player already has. So the amount of coins he has, the score, the best score he reached previously, and so on. So for that, we are going to create a new method called load data. So yeah, let's do it. So let's call it in the awake method. So load data, like so, and let's create it. Private void load data. Awesome. So there are multiple ways you can save data, but the simplest one, in my opinion, is by using the player preferences. So for that, we can say that the coins are equals to the player preferences. So player prefs class dot get integer, and now we need to enter a key. So if it doesn't exist, you can create it, and that's the way you create it. We are going to load the coins amount by searching in the player preferences for the coins key, and you can change that key. You can call it like Johnny if you want. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You just need to use something relevant actually. And by default, so you can add a default value right here. If the key doesn't contain any data, you can add a specific amount of coins. So if you want the player to start, let's say with 100 coins, you can do so. So let's enable the player to start with 150 coins. Okay. Then we also want to load our best score. So the best score will be equals to the player preferences dot get integer with the key best score. And we can also do the same thing for the score actually. So player preferences dot get integer score. Awesome. Let's now add a way to save this data. So it's basically going to be the same syntax. So let's copy this method and duplicate it just below. So let's rename it to something like save data. To save data, we are going to remove this. Okay, like so. And instead of using the get integer method, we are going to use the set integer. Okay, perfect. So we are going to set our coins data to the amount of coins the player has. Same thing for the score, and same thing for the best score. Okay, cool. Let's quickly change this like so and like so. So now we are saving our 3 pieces of data. Perfect. If you remember well, If you want to update the level complete panel, we need access to the amount of coins we have and the score of the player along with the best score. So we need to add some methods inside the data manager for it to release that data, just to make it available to the public. Okay, so let's do that. To make it available to the public, we need to make the method public. So public integer get coins. And it will simply return the amount of coins the player has. We can do the same thing for the score. So public integer get score. That will return the score. And same thing for the best score. Okay, get best score. Return the best score. Awesome. We can also imagine that we want a method that will update the coins. Maybe add some coins or remove some coins when the player is going to use hints. So let's quickly add those two methods. So we're going to have a first one, public void add coins. And it will take an amount of coins we want to add as an argument, like so. In this method, we are simply going to increase the amount of coins by the amount specified. But don't forget to save this data. So we are going to call save data. That way, the new amount of coins is saved in the player preferences. Okay? Awesome. We can also add a method to remove coins. So public void remove coins with an amount again. And in this method, we can say coins minus equals the amount. And we also want to clump the amount of coins to 0. So let's say coins equals mathf. So we are using the math library. It's going to be the maximum between the coins and 0. That way, if the amount of coins is negative, which should not happen, by the way, you should always check if the player has enough coins to purchase something before removing the coins. It will be 0. Okay, and then we want to save the data. Perfect. We can also imagine that the input manager, after finding the right word, the secret word, will want to increase the score of the player. So we might want to add a increase score method. Let's do that quickly. So let's create a public void method and call it increase score. And it will increase the score by a specific amount. Okay, perfect. So first we can simply say score plus equals amount. All right. We can imagine that we are going to save that data. Okay. But we can also add 2 more lines. The first one is going to be a condition. If the score is greater than the best score, then we want to set the best score with the value of the score. So imagine that the best score was 10 and the score was 5. Okay? If the player has earned 6 points, the score is now 11. So it's greater than the best score. We should then update the best score. That's really simple, okay? So if you've got any questions, just ask. But it seems it's really simple. All right, perfect. I think we are pretty much done for the data manager. We can now try and update the level complete panel once the player has reached the level complete state. So let's do that in the next session. See you there.